Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Preimesberger, editor of eWEEK. Thank you very much for joining us today for this latest segment of eWEEK eSpeaks. It's a series of informal conversation with thought leaders from throughout the IT technology world. Our guest today is Roy Dagan. Roy is the CEO of a company called SecuriThings. SecuriThings, so SECURI and then things. Roy, welcome.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, and a couple things has really stood out about SecuriThings that I want to ask you about, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then at a high level what SecuriThings does?
Sure, absolutely. So in terms of background, I spent quite a few years in tech, almost 20 years. Started in one of the Israeli intelligence units, then studied computer science, but actually always worked as a product manager or managed teams of product managers. I worked at various companies from large tech companies, startups, RSA Security, Nice Systems, Payoneer, and others. Kind of always focused on either cybersecurity, risk detection, or analytics, or the combination of all the above. At RSA that's also where I met Ranan, who's our CTO and my co-founder. So we worked there together for a few years, and a few years later, we started working on SecuriThings, and eventually got to where we were today, to the IoT Ops solution and the challenges we're helping our customers solve.
Okay. Can you explain to me then the high level of the company and what IoT Ops is? I think I know what IoT is and I know what Ops is, but when you put them together, what does that mean for you?
Sure, absolutely. So initially, when we started, our focus was on IoT cybersecurity. Okay, helping large organizations solve the challenge of cybersecurity of their devices, connected devices. So when we talk about organizations, think about large financial institutions, tech companies, universities, airports, retailers, and think about the amount of devices these companies, organizations have. From IP cameras to access control systems to building management systems. They have, some from hundreds, then thousands, tens of thousands, and sometimes over 100,000 devices. The devices are scattered all over the network, different sites, different models, different brands, a really large variance. And it's really hard to manage. So while initially we were focused on the cybersecurity aspects of these devices, what we realized over time, and after a lot of discussions with customers and prospects, is that the challenge and the pain is actually bigger. So IoT cybersecurity is part of the pain, but they also had operational challenges. So when you kind of get to that scale of devices, the operational challenges are also becoming a big part of it. And that's when we expanded to what we called about over a year ago, IoT Ops. Which include multiple capabilities which help our customers, both on the cybersecurity, operational, as well as compliance side. And I think sometimes I like to kind of compare it to the IT space. And when in the IT space, you have all kind of huge categories like orchestration, automation, compliance, observability, cybersecurity. So that's, all of these are huge categories and huge companies in the IT space. And what we kind of realize is something like this, or a lot of these capabilities are missing in the IoT space. Okay, so they have these teams, the IoT Ops teams, dedicated on working and managing these devices, but they're really underserved. Okay, no one ever kind of built a solution which is tailored for them, like IT teams have their solution. The IoT Ops teams were kind of missing a similar solution. So we kind of pulled all these categories, which you're familiar with in the IT space, pulled them together and created a solution which is really tailored and relevant for the IoT, with the IoT space, and then again called it IoT Ops. And the way we see it, we're kind of bringing IT standards to the IoT space.
Okay, fair enough. Wow, what you just told us there, I could probably talk with you for an hour about some of that stuff, but we only have about 12 minutes here. How does a company like yours actually identify and locate and then connect hundreds of thousands of devices for a company. Do you can you like walk me through what it's like when you're starting with a customer who's got a lot of different devices out there, cameras or sensors or whatever that are collecting data? How do you begin to start accounting for all of these devices?
Sure, that's a great question. So typically, as part of the engagement within customer, as part of the scoping, we also understand which systems they have in place, which systems are managing these devices, and they typically have different types of systems that are managing these devices. Part of the capabilities we developed over the years is exactly that, to integrate with various systems, and then also collect all the data from the systems and from all the edge devices. Okay, so then we're kind of one system which now knows exactly what they have scattered across, and they can have 100, 200, 300 sites. That's fine. We'll bring them one system, one dashboard, consolidated view across all of these sites. So if in the past they wanted to do something, they had to try to access the devices and find what is the best way to access the devices. And just accessing the devices in some cases takes time. It's basically one solution from which they can access and do all kind of operations, and really helps them, again, on the operation aspects, kind of the efficiency of how much time it takes them, but also secure the devices and know what's really going on with the devices, as there's really little visibility into these devices these days.
Yeah, so when you're connecting all these dots, you're probably connecting technology from different eras too, I bet you, right? Aren't you gonna have a lot of legacy legacy devices out there that maybe won't be so respondent to new tech like yours?
Yeah, but still, we were able to overcome that, and a lot of the devices are newer. So a lot of these devices are IP-based devices, digital devices, and there is a way to connect to them. But that's why you need the technology, right? That's exactly the reason why you can't just put more and more people. Especially these days, teams are becoming smaller, right? So we're bringing in not just a system that saves times and save the amount of the size of the team you need, but also technology for stuff that you almost can't do. It's some of the stuff we do is pretty complicated, and either complicated because it runs on the edge devices themselves, or complicated because if you make a mistake, the device is just out there. It's just out there in the field, and now you really need to roll the truck out.
Yeah, literally, I can understand. The concept of observability is something that people are talking about more and more, although it's been around for a while in the mathematical world, but it's now in the tech world. And how does SecuriThings fit into the observability sector? Because you're literally connecting dots from all over the place to collect data, security data, a lot of it, but maybe not. Maybe it's for some other purposes. But it's all for the benefit of the user, for the company, to help the business. Would you call this an observability tool or not?
It also includes some of the aspects of the modern observability tools, because we don't only monitor the devices. So one piece is monitoring, collecting the data from the edge, from the management systems, correlating the data, understanding and identifying what's going on. Okay, so why is this device suddenly acting weird? CPUs going up, all kind of things like that. And it's disconnecting every once in a while. But then the second thing is what needs to be done. Okay, how do you deal with that? How do you provide the best recommendation, and then on the automation capabilities to follow on that recommendation? So one thing is recommend, okay, you should probably upgrade this device because it has a really outdated firmware version, and we already saw across a bunch of other devices that this is causing an issue. And second thing, okay, now how can we help our customers by automating that and enabling them in a click of a button to take care of it? And that's it. Solve it. The device is up, running, no issues.
Okay. And all of this can be controlled by a single pane of glass, so to speak. Is it strictly a SaaS deployment, or is it software that perhaps a more regulated company in an industry that is closely watched, like financial services or military or something, Can they run it on a server in a private cloud or what?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And we have all flavors. So we have hosted SaaS version. You can run it on your private cloud as a private instance, but there's also a fully on-prem version. You can run it completely internally on your own servers, and we'll support you from afar. And we have customers running all kind of flavors. On top of that, one of the things we also noticed that, we have our own dashboard that provides, a set of capabilities, but we realized that customers have their own tools in place within the existing ecosystem. So at the same time, we also decided to integrate with other tools. It can be your SIM, it can be your ticketing system. So we integrate with other tools to also enable, various teams to work with the system. It can be the teams which are working with our system. It can be, your system integrator, which is working with a ticketing system on the other end, or it can be the IT cyber team, which is working with the SIM.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that next, because since you connect so many dots and systems, you need to be able to play with a lot of different companies. Do you have to have specific agreements, partnerships with those companies, or do you just do the integration yourself with APIs, or what?
Yeah, so it's part of their technology integration programs. So each of these companies has an API. We have our own. The software is called our software is called Horizon. As part of that, we have what we call Horizon Extend. Horizon Extend is exactly that. How do we play with the rest of the ecosystem? Okay, and how do we integrate with APIs of third-party tools so we can, on one hand, send an alert to that tool. On the other hand, receive back what's going on or an action that needs to be taken.
Yeah, it's all about alerting too. Yeah. What about reporting? Can someone use your system to do an instant on-the-spot report if necessary, or what?
Absolutely. The system is constantly updated with data, and reporting is an essential part of it. You can see the report, you can download the report, and a lot of our customers, part of the reason why they need the system is for that compliance reporting. Because today, without such a system in place, it just takes some time. So in some cases, it can take them days to create a report of the entire inventory of what they have in place. With our system, just enter the right screen. Then if you need, download it to an Excel file, or just download the report itself, and you have it.
Very good. All right, Roy Dagan, CEO. Are you the founder or co-founder of the company?
Co-founder. We're two co-founders. Ranan is our CTO, and I'm the CEO of the company.
Okay. And how long has SecuriThings been in business?
We've been around for almost 5 years. We actually just raised our A round, so $14 million A round a couple of months ago, and growing pretty quickly now. Very
good. Well, congratulations on the startup.
Thank
my hat's off to anybody who can start up a company. I know that's not easy to do. So way to go. Roy Dagan of SecuriThings, thank you very much for being our guest on eSpeaks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
And for everybody following along to the end, thank you very much and have a great rest of your eWEEK. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.